Joe doesn't write or sing anything until we get to the studio, until he gets to the mic. That's just his process. I think it's because
this episode is being supported by Tape It. If you currently use voice notes to record your ideas, you should try Tape It instead.
With Idols, there's always this very bipolar thing going on with what Joe wants and what I want, and they completely diverge, and then they will eventually clash in the middle, and they'll either clash and create lots of like tension and animosity, which is great, or there'll be a nice, warm, beautiful hug.
When Joe and I would go record, we would record alone and do vocals alone so we could get in this zone. And I always just thought of it as like, we're having a moment, we'll go back and rejoin the band. And Joe started making this joke in Bath an album ago of, oh, we're Team A. Team A's finishing everything, we're getting it done, because he was putting vocals on things and it was feeling like a final song, you know? And like Bowen said, like with Joe, sometimes there's things written ahead of time, but a lot of time, I mean, he's starting to more and more want to be at the mic and feel it at the mic, the performance, the writing of it, the cadences, everything. And sometimes him and I get done with this thing that he just invented on the mic, whether it's him doing a falsetto for the first time or him finding a new type of bark that we haven't heard or whatever version of Joe you're getting that day. And Joe's like, oh my God, wait till they hear this. Like, and then it became this thing of like, what are they doing in that room? They're doing another guitar track. Like, we're going to go in and show them best song we've ever done. And it's been this ongoing joke. So when Nigel and Mikko came into the picture, the way their process was when it came to tracking instruments on, like using tape, every single piece of hardware, they were so dialed that I didn't feel like me coming in and talking about tones and mic balance and positionings and what I feel is like kind of minute details when we're still writing the music. I was like, let me go away with Joe. And we started to tell Nigel about, hey, like, we're going to go to the Team A room and then we're going to come back. And during that process, I would get stems to things like Roy, and Joe would say, no, Bowen's idea is batshit crazy. Do this instead. And I'm conflicted because there's another room full of people saying, this is what we're working on, this is what we're recording, everyone's agreed. And then I go away with Joe and he goes, fuck that, put it 4/4, put it in 6/4. Put it in 5/4.
I was going to say, Team A couldn't quite handle the
so
genius.
But, Kenny and Joe would just kind of come through like smiling, like, kids in the candy shop, just be like, come and listen to this. And, we'd all march over there and just honestly usually be speechless or almost in tears, just listening to Joe singing. These, I will never forget those moments.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Me either.
I remember that one. It was on the. I mean, we should talk about it when we're talking about gospel. But he was like, "I can't be this, quiet." Or I can't remember what the word was. Fragile. Fragile was the word. Mm. And then you were just like, "You've just recorded one of the most fragile things I think I've ever heard." And then we went in the room and heard Monolith, and we're all just like,
it's so delicate. Like, yeah, and it was a funny competitive joke, but at the end of the day, it became really interesting in the creative process whenever both rooms were challenging each other's thoughts and views on the songs. Like when I heard this, it sounded to me like Ravel or like it's like a bolero or something. Like it has a soul thing to it because of Bowen's tone and this and that, but it gives me this different kind of flamenco waltz feeling to it, which obviously Orbison was also inspired by and this and that, but I'm seeing it in a different way than Joe is seeing it. And then Bowen's seeing it in a different way than the rest of the band is seeing it. And then Nigel and Mikko are seeing how we're all seeing it in a completely different zone. But it didn't cause the chaos you would think in a negative way. It caused chaos. And there was a lot of talking and confusion and nights where we would finish music and have to talk through a single song for an hour. But it added to what was going on because that's how Bowen and Joe's thing meets, is when we all kind of take our different statement on it and then they synthesize it into what it finally becomes. And now I hear it, it's like this beautiful soul song, but I never thought of it like that, especially not it was in odd times, and it went between times. It went from 4/4 to 5/4 back, and then Mikko and I would be in opposite rooms from each other, cutting bars out of sections because they're telling Mikko, now put this at a bar here, and then I'm in another room, and Joe's like, nah, take a bar away. and we would be looking at each other's stems and no one's stems were matching.
Yeah.
And this was an ongoing thing, but it actually caused the best happy accidents.
This episode is being supported by Tape It. If you, like so many of our guests, use voice notes to capture your ideas, you are going to love Tape It. It is the iPhone recording app designed specifically for musicians and songwriters. With Tape It, you can record straight from your lock screen, set markers, add notes, and even include photos of settings. Plus, there's cloud sync, you can import your old voice notes, and to stay on top of it all, Tape It has great labeling features like automatic instrument detection. And all of the above is free. If you currently use voice notes, switching to Tape It is a no-brainer. But that's not all. Tape It has the option to upgrade to using 2 microphones on your iPhone, along with gentler dynamic compression to give a much more natural sound than any of the usual apps. And we have a special offer of a whole month of this high-quality recording for free. Just head to tape.it/tape notes to try it for yourself and see what a difference it makes.
Does Joe sing on this? Or is this
No.
just an instrumental demo, right?
Joe doesn't sing. By and large. No, Joe does.
So
Joe,
unfair.
no, he does. Joe doesn't write or sing anything until we get to the studio, until he gets to the mic. He's that's just his process. I think it's because, I mean, a really big thing for us actually, and a really big thing about all this recorded stuff is the demo is always, by and large, the most exciting thing. It's got an energy. Like, so there's always something to the way you're playing. There's always some, this isn't like a new thing. David Byrne and Brian Eno talk about this all the time.
Albini talked about it all the time.
All the time. And it's like, there's 2 things in that. There is an excitement to the new and the refreshing, and there's great. There's also artists, musicians especially, are the most neurotic, insecure people in the world. And we get 2 things. One is that you start second guessing yourself and you like go, oh, that's not the one. And you start changing things and you fluff it up and you can make something that's very beautiful. And you can lose the energy because it's very important, the energy of the day and the intention. The intention's a big thing for us. But also you get demoitis and you get really like stuck on the demo. So it's almost better to do all the prep, be as considered as possible, and then boom, it comes out. And I think that's a big thing with Joe, because there's so much emotion and so much energy and also so much honesty. Like Joe's performances is entirely who he is at that moment in time, and it never gets recaptured. If you go see us live, none of the songs feel like they will on the recording. They'll feel like Joe is that day. If Joe's having a bad day, it can come out in many forms, and you see that across the scope of the show. If he's having a great day, it comes across. So, like, I think it's really important for Joe to maintain that purity.
Yeah.
So there's never any singing on any of the demos.
Yeah.